fucking the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So I'm going to give you a bit of a secret. Right? I'm going to give you a bit of inside information. Actually, as an aside, I'm getting some really wild inside information that I cannot talk about. I can't even tell you what it's about, but it's really, really wild. I hope to be able to spill the beans on that. Well, I'm not going to spill the beans. I'm going to let somebody else spill the beans, and then I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, fascinating stuff. But anyway, I digress. A bit of inside information. Why do I constantly rank on the current era of Doctor Who? I mean, like, why do I think you'll get it. I don't like it, right? I don't like it. So why do I constantly rank on it? Well, several reasons. The first reason is it's not I'm ranking on this. Well, I am, but it's not ranking it. I am combating, I would say, a false narrative that is very successful and everybody loves it, right? That is a false narrative, and I think it's a false narrative that's been put in place. Well, for many reasons, but that's the more virtuous reason. But you want to know the real reason? It's terrible to admit. The real reason, because it's so freaking easy, right? It's so freaking easy. I check, I do a Google search every day for Doctor Who, right? And click on news and to get the latest article. Without fail, right? Well, not without fail. Mostly, I will get at least one article that's really worth making a video about. But a lot of times I get several, which when you juxtapose them, you get an incredible story, right? But it's easy, right? That's really the bottom line. Why I keep going back to this well. But, honestly, I think if it was more like in the 80s when Doctor Who wasn't doing so great with Trial of the Time Lord, if there was a little bit of mea culpa in it, which there was, right? That's why John Nathan Turner went on Open Air with Pip and Jane Baker, right? With Sylvester McCoy, right? Why did they do that? Because, there needs to be a bit of mea culpa. And once there is that, it kind of deflates everything. It deflates the anger. It deflates, but the BBC will never, ever admit they're wrong. Ever admit they're wrong. And that's just one of the nuggets I got from the Michael Grade interview from season 22 Blu-ray set, which I'm just adoring, right? I am just really loving going through it. I'm doing a different video on each one, on each story, because there's really so much to talk about. I think it's the best one they've done. Anyway, I digress. So we got Rusty Davies Day echoing the sentiments of Philip Hinchcliffe. Philip Hinchcliffe said Doctor Who, and what another one is wonderful. I think it was season 14. The Doctor Who is the show that finds you out. Doctor Who is such a kind of both brilliant and a very, very difficult show that allows you no cover. There's no ability to fudge, and it just shows up when you do. It's just one of those things that I'd love to actually sit down and really do a study on why that is, but I do agree with them that is the case, and I think that's what we've seen more than anything with the Chris Chibnall era, right? That it's he's just out of his depth, right? He just doesn't have the skill set to be able to do the job, and it really painfully shows. And I think that a lot of the reason for the very divisive identity politics that run through define this era of Doctor Who, come from that, right? They come from a need to try and hide just how absolutely useless he is at doing the job, right? In every level. I don't know why I'm always fascinated, right? I don't know why it always amazes me that how bad he is at the job. Really, he can't market, he can't write, he can't structure story. And yeah, amazing. I was watching, I think that's probably coming out. This video is probably going out on Friday or Saturday, so it came out a couple of years ago, my review on season 22, Mark of the Rani, which isn't like a very exciting story, but man, is that a solid workman-like script, right? That does its job, right? Which I don't think Chris Chibnall scripts do, because I don't think he's ever had to. Like, he relies on things to hide behind, which again, I think is why this is a very divisive identity politics runs through everything. Basically, it's just to cover up creators massive inadequacies, and those massive inadequacies, they're not hard to work out, right? You know why they have massive inadequacies? The same reason that anybody is massively inadequate at anything. It's because they don't work hard enough at it. It's really that simple. They're lazy. They're lazy, and, you know, they don't really care about black people. They don't care about gay people. They don't care about trans people, right? They don't really care about anything. They just want to not be criticized, right? They just desperately want to not be criticized. I might do a video about this, but there's the one bad thing, in my opinion, on the current Star Trek Strange New Worlds is Lieutenant Ortega, who I call Lieutenant Lesbian Latinx, right? Now, why do I call her Lieutenant Lesbian Latinx? Because obviously she's a lesbian. She's got the lesbian's head shaved, yeah, side of head shaved, and she's Ortega, so she's you know, Hispanic. Now, white liberal people are trying to use the word Latinx, right? Yeah, Latino people don't like it, right? There's a theory floated that they're trying to introduce this name Latinx, because if you could name something, you could own and control it, right? So that's really what's going on. And they are not happy. White liberals are not happy with Latino people now. They are, because Latino people are very, I mean, not everybody, I'm talking about generalities, but Latino people are not into illegal immigration, right? They're really super not. You know, it screws them over, but, you know, quite hard. So they're all switching parties right now. But yeah, so she has a whole article about like blaming fans for like being racist and bigots for not like her. No, she's just a shit character, right? It's essentially Mr. Chekhov. It fills the role of Mr. Chekhov, that sort of young, brash, you know, ensign type character who's good at their job, and it's a very masculine character, which they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear anything. It's masculine or bloody feminine, and that's why they cast a woman in it. And it aches every time she's on screen. It actually aches with how bad it is, right? How tokenism it is, how much tokenism it is. You know, so, but they just can't deal with any criticism. They just cannot deal with it whatsoever, which I find a bit odd. Anyway, I digress. And so they hide behind identity politics, of course. Fine. I digress. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I've really got to do this quicker in the video, right? I'm going to try. Next video I do, right? Next long video I do. Try and get that out in the first 2 minutes. Why? Because I want to plug my Substack. My Substack is my email newsletter, and that's really got good recently. I'm releasing out of print comic books and books that, you know, haven't seen the light of day for quite some time. Right now we're doing a series of 2-page strips by Alan Moore, fantastic writer at the beginning of his career, these backup strips from Doctor Who Weekly, it was at the time. But we're going to go through all the Alan Moore stuff, all the Alan Moore Doctor Who stuff. So sign up. It's free, right? It's totally free. There's a paid one as well. I throw out some content to the paid people. It's basically my comic books. It's an excuse to have you throw money at me, right? If you want to throw any money at me, it seems easier than have you, you know, put it in my G-string. And really, you don't want to go near my G-string. I'm a fat guy, right? It will probably take a team of surgeons to find the G-string and remove it. Team of surgeons working long and hard together in unison. Speaking of people working long and hard together in unison, let's talk about Rusty Davies' Doctor Who, which I think is a fair description of his era. Now, Rusty Davies pissed off a lot of people recently, again, with his, I will call it, I'm being charitable, unhinged political and ideological rants, right? And I think that's a fair description of it. Listen, he just believes that if you're right wing, if you're right of center, you're evil. You hate gay people and you want them all to die. Now it's reasonable that he thinks that. I mean, he did live through AIDS, where the right wing did use it to kill gay people, like to significantly increase the infection of gay people, right? Absolutely. So there's definitely a lot of trauma going on there. So the question is, what one has to do if you're not like insanely left wing is you have to be able to, in modern day, for the last 20 years, I would say, you got to disconnect the art from the artist, right? If you do that and the art's good, then you're great. Now, the question is, can Russell T Davies do that? Will he do that? We don't know. That's the thing. We really genuinely don't know. I still, and I'm becoming a lesser known voice, in this space for saying I still think that his instincts as a writer and a creator just can't be trumped by anything else. I'm sorry to use the word Trump, but just can't be overtaken by anything else. So I'm still very optimistic about the new era of Doctor Who. Time will tell. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I am indeed wrong, right? Could well be. I hope not. I hope not. Time will tell. Time indeed will tell. Rosny Davies thinks writing Doctor Who is the toughest job on TV. Yes, well, there's reason to think that, because it is. One of the reasons Doctor Who has been able to be consistently stay fresh for its 40 plus seasons. Well, in all fairness, again, I'm loving season 22. Wasn't that fresh? In all fairness, it really wasn't that fresh. 40 plus seasons of TV is the way stuff behind the show constantly changes. Yeah, I think the behind the scenes changes much more important than in front of the camera. I really do. Although I would have loved to have seen a Toby Whithouse couple of seasons with Capaldi. Like, I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been incredible. That would have had a totally different feel. Not only is there a new companion, new Doctor every few years, but the showrunner and the rest of the writers also tend to shuffle in and out. Well, back in the classic, it wasn't really a show run. It was actually a very boring process, right? It was a process divided by a few people. It was the producer, John Nathan Turner was a producer, and that's the guy who facilitated the making of the show, right? And also it had somewhat of a creative vision, but it was the script editor that was the creative driver of the show. And you see that kind of unison with with Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes, right? You don't really see that so much in later Eric Saywood and John Nathan Turner. I think the problem with season 22, and I've been saying this all through the videos, is Eric Saywood just didn't know what to do with Colin Baker or that costume. He was like, well, this is bollocks. Let's just, I don't know, have some Sidemen crushed on with his hands. That'll do the trick. And then maybe somebody won't notice it. It seems reasonable that you might think that. Anyway. However, the writing stuff doesn't change purely as a strategy for keeping the show in a constant state of innovation. It changes because writing Doctor Who is, as it turns out, really, really difficult. Well, again, I think Chris Chibnall has very reasonably proved that. I really do. The initial showrunner of the revival, Rosny Davies, considered to be the hardest show to write on TV. The reason? Because the Doctor is meant to be a hyper-intelligent person, far smarter than the average human being. Well, that's one reason. Davies said, he walks into a door and solves the entire plot in 3 minutes, and as a writer you have to spin plates and tap dance and juggle to stop that happening. It makes it very, very hard to write. Well, that's certainly one reason, right? I mean, yeah, listen, if he is the smartest guy in the room, right? If he has all this knowledge, has all this power, you got to find different ways of slowing him down. That's a very good point. And have it not appear that way either. It's an issue that led to plenty of questionable storytelling choices over David's tenure. Even one of the best over those is Family of Blood. And it is. I do not like Paul Cornell. Douchebag or douchebag. This is what I'm saying. Separate the art from the artist, right? Although, the only good things I've ever seen Paul Cornell write is Doctor Who. I've seen his other stuff, his comic book stuff, I find to be really poor. Like, really shockingly poor. Even his Doctor Who comic book stuff, right? He did the Third Doctor arc at Titan. It was very, very, I'm surprised, right? Novels, fantastic. Family of Blood, Human Nature, fantastic. Ends with a big crisis being solved by the Doctor spewing out a bunch of techno jargon. Is that the case? Not really. Not really. And I guess this ties into the first thing David said, that the whole plot of this episode was he wasn't the Doctor, right? And so that's why he couldn't solve everything. The Doctor pretending to be a silly human falls down and accidentally presses a couple of buttons of the alien ship. That was a bit naff, which turned out to be exactly the right buttons required to set the ship self-destruct. Well, yeah, but that was the point, right? Because now he's a doctor, he can fix everything very quickly. We can forgive the scene because the rest of the episode rocks. I think that scene was pretty good too. But it certainly feels a little anticlimactic when the Doctor saves the day through means the audience couldn't possibly understand or predict. That's not true. It saves the day by the Doctor doing a doctory thing, right? And I think that's tricking his opponents and blowing up their ship. That's a very doctory thing, right? Yeah. I don't even think that was fudge. That seemed to be that. Yeah, that seemed to work. Actually, if you really want to see this in vividly, go and watch some episodes of Star Trek: Next Generation, especially seasons 2 or 3 or 4. When you reach the ad break, they're about. There's like 4 there's 4 and a teaser, so there's 5 in each episode. So they're about 15 minutes in. You'll see. People walk from different sides of the bridge, right? They'll walk so they can line up for the shot, for the curtain. Dun, dun, dun. It's the Borg! Ah! Or even better, even Attack of the Cybermen, right? The iconic scene in that when Litter's holding the gun up to who's it, Brian Glover? And he goes over. Pushes him across the room, over, just so he can line up, so the wall can open up and the Cybermen can come out with that great Cyberman-y music, right? Yes, that does happen. It's a similar problem future showrunner would have to deal with. What's the problem? Okay, he's not the only showrunner who struggled. Yeah, no, I think we just touched on the issue. We didn't really get into it at all. I hopefully will. It's a similar problem future showrunner Stephen Moffat would have to deal with. Not just with Doctor Who, but with the other project, Sherlock. But both the Doctor and Sherlock are supposed to be inhumanly intelligent characters, which makes it difficult for writers who are not inhumanly intelligent to create mysteries that would require 45 to 90 minutes for the character to figure out. That's your job. That's the job of a writer. Right? Listen, the way Chris Chibnall solved it is they made the Doctor an idiot, right? And that was interesting choice, I guess. But yeah, they made the Doctor a blithering bloody idiot. For the most part, Moffat was willing to put in the work. The pilot episode of Sherlock had Sherlock Benham come back to deduce a bunch of things about John Watson simply by looking at him for 3 seconds. That was in the sodding, but that's Sherlock Holmes, you moron. That's the character. That's what he does. He was like, oh, this is weird. This Superman character now flies around. Wonder what that's about. Really? That's really what Sherlock Holmes does. Instead of simply telling us Sherlock's observant, the show later has him methodically explain the higher process of deduction that went through the original scene. Again, that's what Sherlock Holmes does. That's why we love it. Some deductions are a little ridiculous. That's fair. I'm trying to think of the original Holmes. There's a good one in the Red-Headed League. I'm thinking about the Jeremy Brett version, where this guy he works out this guy's from bits worked in China. And he has all the different all the stuff kind of makes sense. As cool. He noticed scuff marks near the phone's charger. That's exactly from the bloody book. There were scuff marks on the key, I think, when he was trying to get into his house. That's literally from A Study in Scarlet. Yeah, having a classic education might be a bit of a burden, but not quite as much of a burden as having no frickin' education. Yes, that's literally in the. Okay, fine. Must have been an alcoholic with shaky hands, but it does help to believably put the viewer in the mind of a genius detective. Well, that's good, because that's what Conan Doyle did. It takes him over a minute and a half to explain to John Watson the thought process that he went through in his head in a matter of seconds. Again, if you try and explain a thought process, that's true. You can think of something like that in a second. It'll take you, much longer to be able to recount it, right? Your brain works a lot quicker than your mouth, and my mouth works pretty darn quickly. These types of scenes become increasingly less frequent on Sherlock, possibly because of how time-consuming they were to write. Well, not really. I mean, like the whole like deduction thing was what we loved about Sherlock, right? The way that he walked throughout the scene, right? What's the one? Scandal in Belgravia, right? There's a great scene where he was where he falls onto a bed and it's like and he's visualizing being in the countryside. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff we loved about Sherlock. But also, it was 100% Sherlock Holmes. It was really, really based on a finite knowledge, a fine-tuned, not finite, a fine-tuned knowledge of the source material. Although Doctor Who never leaned quite as heavily on the Doctor deducing things as Sherlock, the character still had the same basic dynamic with his companion. Well, I mean, that was the point of that scene in 11th Hour. Right, when the Doctor surveys everything in the village green, or whatever, and he sees Rory. It worked out better in Sherlock, right? It was executed better in Sherlock, but I think that's you're trying to see some of the Doctor's overview. And you know, there was another great scene, right? What was it? The second episode of Capaldi's second season, The Witch's Familiar, or the Magician's Apprentice. Well, whatever, the second part, right? When Missy is recounting how Tom Baker's Doctor got out of being killed by a bunch of robots, and they had to slow it down to explain it, right? That worked very well, I thought. Where are we up to? On to the thing of Sherlock, the character still had quite some basic dynamic with still had the same basic dynamic with companions. This is why, by the way, I am very miffed that the last Sherlock episode was really a Doctor Who episode. Okay, what was it his sister, Sherringford Holmes or whatever his name was, on that island, on an island prison. That was clearly supposed to be Missy, right? That was clearly like exactly where they kept the same sort of thing. They kept the Delgado Master in, right? And that scene, right, where they, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's fantastic. Where you realise there's no glass separating the villainess from Sherlock, right? That was 100% Doctor Who, and he was supposed to be there with Clara and I don't know, Brigadier or somebody, Brigadier's daughter. What's her name? Kate. Yeah, I just found her a bit bland, quite frankly. To make things even more challenging, Doctor Who was coming out with a new 13-episode season about once a year. So whereas Sherlock was averaging 3 episodes every 2 years, well, there was that, right? And there was also all of Sherlock was already written, right? The plot was already written because it's taking straight from Conan Doyle's book. Weaving them together was an act of real, genuine artistry. I don't want to detract from Gatiss or Moffat or who was the third guy who worked on it. I can't remember because that's work, right? That and translating it into the modern that's real work. But the bones of the plot were all there. The time travel aspect. So really, we haven't got onto why it's so hard to write. Right, we've had one thread, right? One thread, but that's about it. The other thing making Doctor Who far more difficult, right, than shows like Sherlock is the time travel aspect. As Davies puts it, he arrived in a great big machine that's the most powerful object in the universe. He travels in time and space and is invulnerable. He's not invulnerable. He's not in a bad state. It's hard to worry for the Doctor. When you put things like that, but yeah, that's why you have to. One of the reasons you have companions, and you got to put the companions in danger. If the companions aren't in danger, you put the universe in danger. You give him stakes, right? You give him stakes. As the revival increasingly leaned on the time travel aspect of the show, not really so much, it became increasingly hard to maintain tension because we know we could all. Okay, this article was written by a moron who's never seen Doctor Bloody Who. Oh, Terrence Dix dealt with all of this. This is just annoying me now. As the Rabbi increasingly leaned on the time travel aspect of the show, it became increasingly hard to maintain tension because we knew the show could always pull some kind of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nonsense to save the day. No! Go look at Pyramids of Mars, right? Pyramids of Mars deals directly with this. Sarah Jane's like, well, we could just nip off to the future and Sutek's not going to have taken over the world. They go to 1980 and it's just like barren desert wasteland, right? And it's like time is in flux. Basically was the idea. Where we're in season 1, Doctor Dancer, the character seemingly sacrificed himself in an explosion, but Doctor uses the TARDIS to travel back to the same time and place before the explosion. Well, they fudge that a little bit, right? They do fudge that. It's like they came up with like fixed points, so they can't do that universally, right? And in the first season as well, you had that another Paul Cordell strip, right? What was it? Father's Day. Great script. That was all about messing around with time. That was going into exactly why you can't do that. Why they do that with Captain Jack? I think there was some kind of reason. I think they actually addressed it, right? But that's the thing. There's a lot of rules in Doctor Who, right? You have to follow to have it make any sense. And when you say there are no rules, what do you get? You get current day Doctor Who, which is done extremely badly, right? Extremely badly. But pretending there are no rules. Doctor could be anything. Doctor could be what they call babies when they when they want to abort them? A clump of cells. Just a clump of cells, right? I mean, are we all just a clump of cells? The revival increasingly leaned on the time to blah blah blah. The Doctor uses the TARDIS to travel, save Captain Jack. But it leads to the question, why does Doctor do that more often? There's a question asked and answered. As long-time fans pointed out, the Doctor could do something like that. Why didn't he do it the last time a companion died in an explosion? I guess the 5th Doctor must not have cared about Adric after all. Yeah, no. Okay, then you would have Earth blow up. If you go, no. It's the web of time, and you can't do that. And also, they tried, but the cyber ship was jumping time tracks, right? Don't pretend they didn't try and deal with these plot points, right? This is what writing a script is like. This is why Doctor Who is a show that finds you out. That if you're too stupid to think things through, which clearly Chris Chibnall is, and there's going to be a lot of people watching it obsessively going, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, right? That Doctor Who, that's why Doctor Who is a show that finds you out. This issue becomes more pronounced in the Moffat years as it became a regular occurrence of shows to use time travel to repeatedly undo seemingly real character deaths. Citation, I'm sure there were, I just can't think of it at the top of my head. For a while there, it felt that characters felt invincible. Well, the only time a character's been invincible and invulnerable would be the Timeless Child arc. That's basically what it did. For a while, the character felt invincible and the show was losing its sense of stakes. Okay, Davies' return. In spite of the difficulties Moffat went through on Doctor Who for 6 seasons, Russell Davies is returning to run the show once again. Okay, how do you tie those two things together? I don't know. How do you tie those two things together? By being an idiot. That's how. But Davies, it has to do more with the flip side of the Doctor being a hyper-intelligent being with invincible time machine. The solution to that is traditional Doctor Who. Have him be an aimless wanderer just going around seeing the universe, right? Don't have this lonely god thing going on. Just have him be somebody traveling around and bumbling into things. That actually works, right? That actually definitely works. Where we're up to Russell Davies to run the show again. As tough as the show may be to write for, it's clearly worth the trouble. Well, if you love it, yeah, and it's going to be worth the trouble for Davies because he's going to make a bloody mint. And it's the only way to make him more powerful in the industry, right? If he turns Doctor Who into from a failing mess, right, into a popular show, once again, he's set for life, right? He's set for life now, but I think it's more than money. I think it's about prestige and also about him loving Doctor Who. I think really bottom line, a lot of it is about him loving Doctor Who. As complicated as the show might be, the core has always been pretty simple, and he's free to take it in any direction he wants. Well, yes, he is. I like looking at a new set of challenges every time at a blank page. But Doctor Who is always a blank page, he told the BBC. Right, this is finally we get to the point. He told Radio Times, there are things that are coming up that are brand new ways of telling stories. Oh, this is what excites me. Right, this is what excites me. They've never been done before, so it feels so new. Doctor Who has always existed on the cutting edge of entertainment, which is why, in my opinion, the Jodie Whittaker years have been so unbelievably bad. Right. It feels in addition, taking over the showrunner, he'll also be in charge of the 60th anniversary specials, we don't know, featuring the return of the 10th Doctor. No, featuring the return of David Tennant. We have no idea what Doctor he is, and Donna, Catherine Tate. As it serves as another reminder that the upside of writing a show about time travel is you get a chance to bring back beloved characters for special occasion. This guy is a moron. There's no way Donna should be able to come back, right? But no. You can also get a chance to bring back beloved characters on special occasions like these. Even though we've seen how the stories end, we know this is almost certainly taking place after that. We know showrunning Doctor again will probably be exhausting for Davies in the long run, but it was certainly nice to have him back. That is true. But what a vacuous, empty article. Okay, essentially this. Doctor Who is not a show without rules, right? Doctor Who is a show with a lot of rules, and you set those rules, right? For you have to keep the tone correct. You need to keep the characteristics of the character set. You can't suddenly make the Doctor into a cruel, bumbling idiot, right? Which is again how I would describe the Whittaker Doctor, which is why I don't think of it. You know, and there's the thing to get this thing going. Oh, anything could be anything. Doctor Who could be anything. Oh, well, no, it can't, right? You can't have it be about anything and still be popular and watchable. Now, how do you underline this very, very simple point? Oh, here comes Screenrant to tell us. So let's hear them gush a little bit about some terrible writing that doesn't follow rules and it just makes Doctor Who bland and bland crap. Bland crap. Oh, you know what we're going to do? Why don't we make Doctor Who like every forgettable show in 2022? Why not have it be about a big black woman holding a big gun, right? Yay! We love that, right? We love that. No, nobody likes that, right? Nobody's watching any of that crap, right? What happened to season 2 of Watchmen? Oh yeah, it died a death because it was crap, right? It was a show about a black woman with a big gun, okay? A big black woman with a big gun. Hey, listen, I understand a lot of people in Hollywood making TV shows are horribly racist and horribly sexist, right? I understand they don't like black people and they probably have raped many women, or coerced many women, into sexual favors. I believe that to be the case. So the current trend of having every show be about big black women with big guns is, if you have been somebody who's been racist, sexist, abuser, you then wear that your show about big black women with big guns as a badge. Say, look at me, look at my show. I'm not a racist or sexist. Yes, you are, you piece of shit. Yeah, you are. How do I know you're a Hollywood producer? You're all pieces of shit. Doctor Who, the Time Lords may not be wiped out after all. Oh, there you go. Let's zip them back out. Yeah, it's like, Time Lords are not. Gallifrey is not brought in and out of existence on Velcro, right? It's the dumbest thing ever. It's stupid writing, right? Stupid writing. When you're going to wipe out the Doctor's race, that's a big deal that should have consequence, right? When you're going to bring them back, it should be a big deal with consequence. It can't be a big deal with consequence if you do it every 20 bloody minutes! Bloody idiots! Right? That's called bad writing. That's called, oh, Doctor Who could be anything. Really? Yes, Doctor Who could be shit. Then we agree with you. The Time Lords have been given a new power, and in doing so, it hints the Time Lords may not have been destroyed by the Master after all. Another hint that they haven't been destroyed by the Master after all is that this plotline is going to be completely forgotten in, what was it? I'm recording in July, August, September, October. It's got 4 months to live before it's got forgotten forever. 4 months, and it's forgotten forever. This article contains spoilers for Doctor Who Origins #2. a comic book so unbelievably shit and unpopular that it isn't even pirated on BitTorrent sites, right? I reviewed the first one, and it was just a lazy bore fest. And they charged me $4 for it. Like, I don't think I'm going to do number 2. I'll just read articles like this. Doctor Who said that the Time Lords may not have been wiped out after all. Again, what a dumb piece of writing. The Time Lords Gallery consider themselves the most powerful, advanced race in the universe. They only ever took action when they believed it was in their own interest. Their interests were threatened, as in the classic episode Genesis of the Daleks, where the Doctor is sent to ancient Skaro in an attempt to prevent the creation of the Daleks. The Doctor chose to spare the Daleks, clinging to the hope that the evil of the Daleks would ultimately lead to something good. Not really, right? Not really. No, he was asking if he had the right. Did he have the right to end the species, right? And it was part of his internal debate, or external debate, right? Yeah, it's like, but his essential question was, does any person have the right, to commit genocide? It's an interesting question, right? An interesting question. I think the example they gave is if he went back in time, he found baby Hitler, would you kill him, right? It's an innocent baby. It's an interesting question. And Doctor Who used to do interesting questions very well, because Doctor Who used to be an intelligent show, right? Where they thought through the scripts, right? Unlike this garbage. The Doctor Who chose to spare the Daleks, clinging to the hope that blah, 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 blah. Tragically, his optimism was proved to be naivety of the time, and it wasn't even that. He was distracted, ran away, and then the Daleks blew out for themselves. The Time Lords have correctly predicted the day the Daleks would threaten even Gallifrey and all creation. They basically started the Time War, I think, is the answer. And if you want to know what happened, Big Finish have a really good box set. Doctor Who Unbound, the Doctor of War, I think. Colin Bay. Basically, what happens is the shock and trauma of destroying the Daleks, like, forces a regeneration, and he regenerates into a War Doctor version, right? And the War Doctor version is played by Colin Baker, and they got 3 really weird, timey-wimey stories where time's being ripped apart and weird things are going on. It's great, though. Fantastic. The Time Lords had credit, blah, blah, blah. Gallifrey vanished. Where we are. The Daleks would threaten Gallifrey, and all creation wound up caught in the cataclysmic Time War. Gallifrey vanished and banished to another dimension by the Doctor, and as seen in Doctor Who Season 11, ultimately destroyed by the Master. Oh, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Doctor Who Origins #2 by Jodie Houser, Roberta Ingram, and Warnia K. Shahadiwa. I like issue 1 was just so lazy, right? So lazy. And Jodie Houser's, I mean, she might be a better writer than Chris Chibnall. That's not a high bar to get over, right? That's actually what we call quite a low bar. Solicitors have where was it? Time Lords maybe gone after all. Solicitors have suggested the comic will finally explain why Joe Martin's forgotten Doctor became a fugitive from their own race. And the second issue sees her brought face to face with a secret Time Lords have kept hidden in from the galaxy. She visits a Time Lord colony on the planet Kreb. Kreb's such a stupid name. Where the Doctor learns another secret of Time Lord regeneration. That Time Lord's regeneration served to accelerate evolution, and with each incarnation evolving to suit the environment they're in. What? This means every Time Lord colony will swiftly evolve in different directions, essentially becoming a separate species. Well, that's a dumb idea, isn't it? There you go. Look, it's great adding in new areas of mystery or new layers. The example I give a lot is Deadly Assassin, right? It's a different way of looking at something, and I think it works, right? You're looking at things from a different angle in a much more contemporary way. I really think that people hated it at the time. I think it absolutely works. Fine. So what's this idiocy? So now the Time Lords are in, I think, as well. Doctor Who can be anything, and the Time Lords be in. This is all because you can't frickin' write. right? And you can't stick to any rules in writing. Just a little hint to that is no one fucking buying this, morons. It's quite rare to see a Time Lord colony, and it's quite possible the Time Lords practice eugenics. Doctor Who Origins kicked off with the Doctor given a mission to destroy Kreb and all its inhabitants. After all, the Time Lords may well have been horrified to learn the species would evolve in this way. Still, there's no reason every generation of Time Lords felt the same way, and the Time Lords could have easily used this tactic to ensure some of their race survived the Time. Blimey! This is a stretch, isn't it? Okay, so again, the Doctor's had billions of regenerations and can be literally anybody, but nobody white and male, right? None of those icky white males. So now we're saying, oh yeah, and so also all the Time Lords. Okay, this just your inability to have a definition and stick to it is poor writing. I think it's the only way to describe it. It's very, very poor writing. Where are we up to? The Time Lords could So the Time Lords felt the same way. The Time Lords could easily use this tactic to ensure their race survived the Time War. The Time Lords could easily return to Doctor Who, albeit in a different form. They're not the fucking Time Lords! Fucking morons! Oh, they may return as a packet of fags. Oh, that's good. If you're American, that's a box of cigarettes. Just to be clear. Fine. This does not, however, mean the Doctor's relationship with the Time Lords would be the same. Recent seasons have revealed the Doctor is not a Time Lord at all. Oh, shut up. She is actually the timeless child, being from another universe. Again, no rules, no definitions. That could be anything. Oh, yeah, it's not. And the base genetic code for the entire Time Lord race. The timeless child retcon introduces an intriguing new degree of distance between future Doctors and the Time Lords. No, it doesn't, because it's about to be retconned away, setting up potential enemies as Doctor Who continues. God. So there we have it. There we have it. Why is Doctor Who the show that's the hardest to write? Because if you write shit like this, and it is shit, right? If you write shit like this, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So who knows what Russell T Davies' new era is going to be like? I do not know. I'm optimistic that his instincts as a writer, as an entertainer, his desire to be successful will trump his personal ideology and politics. I am optimistic of that. Is that what's going to happen? We don't know. Could be. Maybe not. Who knows or dares to dream? My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.